Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back down under the mat. We are here in Madison Square Garage around the pool table of relevancy. Mr. Dan Danielson to my left. I am Rowdy Roddy Reece, and we're going to be talking about a nice little short episode today. We'll be talking about the announcement from the Western Australian government about securing a deal with TKO for 5 events for WWE and UFC. Now, we don't have too much detail at this time, but we can tell you it will be spanning across the next 18 months as a whole. So, with that being said, on SmackDown this week, WWE has confirmed that the dates in Perth will be 2025 dates. So, at some point before the end of the year, WWE will be returning to the Western Australian city of Perth. And, well, I think we're absolutely excited.
We were there
for that.
Elimination Chamber last year.
Dan's got the right shirt on. Just quickly touching on the UFC side of things, they've organised a fight night as well as a UFC premium event to come as well. But I believe the premium UFC event will be next year.
That is my impression of it as well. And I didn't realise that Jack Della Maddalena, who is a UFC fighter, I knew he was an Aussie fighter, he's actually from Perth.
So yeah,
so he was doing some of the announcements and stuff with the local MPs and the state person and all that sort of stuff. So that's obviously a big tie-in as to why there'll be the UFC fights over there. And we've had stuff with Robert Whittaker and Volkanovski and all the other Aussie guys. So there's enough Aussie talent in the UFC that they can bring cards out here. Makes sense that they bring it to Perth because I think the number, if we look at the media release, was 37 million that Perth has spent or given to TKO for these events.
Yeah.
But if you look at, I could be talking completely out of my ass, but I think I saw this on an article somewhere. They've spent $37 million for all these events to come to Perth. The weekend of Elimination Chamber, Perth themselves as a city or whatever, said they made over $105 million in profits.
Yeah, from tourism.
So that's all the tourist stuff, all your hotels and everything like that. So if they're making that sort of money off the investment that they're making, makes sense. Right?
Absolutely.
First point that I want to make that I've seen through a lot of the internet forums and the Facebook groups and things that we're in right now is everyone, why is it not in Sydney? Why is it in Melbourne? Why don't you go to the West Coast?
Because the East Coast won't pay the money.
Correct. Melbourne is the sporting capital of Australia, but Melbourne also doesn't think it needs to spend money to be the sporting capital of Australia, right?
Yep. That's why they didn't get the Elimination Chamber last year.
If Perth want to spend $37 million and Sydney's like, nah, we'll give you a meat pie and $47, where do you think WWE's going?
A meat pie at $47.
But that's why, right? That's why it's in Perth. A, the money, right? B, the fact that it's a good tourist city for that.
It is pretty good. From our experience last year, would recommend.
It's a flight, but when you're WWE and you're flying,
flights are a small sacrifice.
If you're flying from LA out here and it's a 21-hour flight or a 22-hour flight, whatever. They don't
same.
So I think that's probably a lot of the reasoning behind it, right? Is Perth trumped up the money. They said, yep, we will spend. We want the events. Good news.
Yep.
Will that impact the local wrestling? So one of the key points that came out last time was there was a massive Australian Super Show the night before, on the Friday night, before the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. There was also a press conference, all that kind of stuff.
I think one of the big things coming out of this announcement is the fact that it will be a weekend and it will be a SmackDown, the pay-per-view, and then Monday Night Raw as well.
Which limits the time that you're going to have for these local shows, right?
Yes.
We had a great time last year at the Australian Super Show that was held in a basketball stadium with no air conditioning. I was sweating my balls off. It was great fun watching
Rhea and Kevin Owens sitting right behind us. We saw Zarya in the main event retain the RCW Heavyweight
Indy
Championship.
Hartwell was there. We got to meet her. So
Grayson Waller was in attendance.
That was a very fun part of the weekend for us. And I think in general, just the fact that you're going to try and travel around and see people. We saw Asuka and Kyrie at the Super Store. Doing signing sessions. We saw we just missed Liv and KO on Rottnest Island.
Rottnest Island, yeah. Lockie was devastated.
Yeah.
Because we had already gotten onto the ferry to go back to Perth City at that point. And he's like, no, just leave me here. I want to go find KO and Liv and I want to get a photo.
He ended up getting his KO photo, which was fine.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like the whole thing of the weekend. Does that mean there's now less time for local shows to fit in around it? Yeah, probably.
It depends on how long they're going to be there for, though. I know we discussed yesterday online about how they're going to structure this weekend, and being the Netflix deal that they have, those shows, Raw and SmackDown, won't necessarily have to be live for Netflix. So you can still do them on the Friday and the Tuesday.
Yep.
Well, the Friday, the Monday, our time. So Monday night, Friday night, and then you have the PLE on the Saturday night.
Yep.
The PLE will be a live stream thing, so it'll be at weird times overseas. Don't know, don't care, because it doesn't affect me. But Raw and SmackDown, filming them at Friday night and Monday night, our time,
Yep.
you can still show them in the same slots overseas as their usual times.
Yeah.
Because we're ahead of everyone else.
Correct. And I think we'll get a bit of an idea of how that's going to play out when they do this Europe tour in March, coming up to WrestleMania, because they're going to be overseas for an entire week. So they'll be recording or pre-recording shows.
2 weeks.
It's
they're
probably
overseas.
2 weeks, yeah. It's a while.
That's a huge Europe tour to do in the lead up to WrestleMania.
Yeah, and so our assumption, obviously, like Reece said, that this is 2025 they've confirmed, but they haven't picked a date.
Yeah.
So if you don't know Australia and Australian sports, the two predominant sports in our country, rugby league and AFL. Right, rugby league is this. AFL is probably bigger in Perth because they have a couple of sides, the West Coast Eagles and
Hawthorn?
Hawthorns in Melbourne. There's a Fremantle team as well.
Brisbane, so I don't give a shit.
That season ends the last weekend of September, right?
Yeah.
So they've said so far that it's going to be a big weekend at the RAC Arena, which is their indoor stadium, about 15,000 seats.
Yeah, that's going to be really interesting, especially because we got, I think around 45,000?
We got 50,000.
50,000 at the Optus Stadium, and they're going to downsize it to a 15,000 seat arena.
I don't know if they've fully confirmed that yet. I'm not buying into
the way that it's coming across in all the media releases and the press releases and all the social media videos is that all three events will be held at that RAC Arena. I feel like after the success of Elimination Chamber last year, we had people that we now follow on TikTok come over to Perth to watch that event. So it is going to draw in international tourism as well as tourism from the East Coast. Mm-hmm. Having that many people, I don't see why they wouldn't do that venue again, because they will absolutely get similar figures.
So I think that is correct. So that's why I think it has to be post-football season so that the stadium is available for them to use. The other slightly sadistic point of me thinks that they want to do it to prove a point to AEW that they can sell a stadium. You know, AEW announced they were coming out to Australia. They're going to do Suncorp, which was a 50,000 seat stadium.
Yeah.
Got nowhere near it, bailed out. And look, great event. We obviously got the chair and stuff.
Great event. And that Brisbane Entertainment Centre was packed. It was a great atmosphere, great night. But it could have been at Suncorp.
But WWE will go bigger. Yeah. And look, RAC Arena, if you can get a SmackDown and it's going to be 12,000 people packed, a Raw on the Monday night packed, and you can still get 50,000 people to go into the Optus Stadium.
Whenever the dates are announced, which we'll touch on soon, we fully intend on purchasing tickets to all three events that they have.
Yes.
It's going to be an expensive trip, but it's going to be one hell of a fucking trip, I tell you.
Look, I was planning a Vegas trip
Raw and
next
SmackDown.
year.
Raw and SmackDown. Like, I've already, my wife, we've already discussed. We were going to be planning a New Zealand trip early next year. With this Perth announcement, that's off. She's going to come over, might come to a couple of the wrestling shows.
Yeah.
But we are focusing on this. Because this is huge.
We'll get a nice hotel. She can crochet in the hotel room for you.
Yeah. Kindle and...
Looking at the timelines, right? Back to what I was saying.
Yes, timelines.
So footy season ends end of September. The NRL Grand Final is the first weekend of October.
Yes, correct.
The cricket season is the next thing that starts. That is probably bigger in Perth. Big Bash and things start in December. Okay,
so if we assume a 2-month time frame.
Correct. If we assume we're avoiding sports, we're looking at October, November at the end of this year. If you look at the WWE pay-per-view schedule from last year when they did stuff, early August was SummerSlam, end of August was Bash in Berlin, and then there was Bad Blood in October, and then you had Survivor Series in November. Now, I'm not anticipating them bringing Survivor Series out. It's not one of the big four.
They won't bring the cage when they brought Elimination Chamber last year. Given the schedule and what we've sort of like hashed out and stuff, We're thinking Bad Blood Down Under. How does that sound?
Yeah, I think it's an October pay-per-view. I think it's
And I
Bad
think
Blood
maybe
Down
they
Under.
push it back to the second week because they've not confirmed when that pay-per-view is going to be for this year yet.
No, there is no schedule.
A lot of people are talking about June because there is apparently a gap for a pay-per-view in June, which kind of stresses me out because that's when I'm like just coming back from Japan.
I feel like it's too short though.
It's way too short. 4 months notice for this, for 3 events, and for people to pay for everything, book accommodation, book flights, travel over to Perth. 4 months is not a lot of time. I think we got like 8 months for Chamber.
Yeah, it was a while. And I think that's
you
the
need
thing.
that sort of time frame.
That's the thing you need to understand with the not only the fact that it's like travel for us from East Coast to West Coast, but like if you're trying to get
International.
Brock Lesnar guy and Green Shirt guy and Trinidad and Tobago guy out, you can't give them 3 months to organise an international trip to Australia.
Yeah.
You got to have 6 months, right?
Minimum.
So that means that like it's not before August, and like we said, it's not SummerSlam. So it's either
it just lines up.
and whether or not
Mate, if we get Survivor Series and we get War Games, fucking happy days.
Oh, sign me up.
I do like the ring, and I hope Triple H. We talk about this all the time. Slide in the DMs. We'll give you Bad Blood Down Under. You can take it. No copyrights, no nothing.
So just to confirm for you, Reece, currently already announced for WWE. May, there is a Saturday night's main event.
Yep.
There's also another Saturday night's main event on July 12th. August 2nd and 3rd, SummerSlam is at MetLife Stadium in New York.
That's right. 2 nights SummerSlam this year.
And August 31st, Clash in Paris
Clash in Paris
is announced.
That's going to be so good.
So they're not going to go New York, Paris, Australia.
Yeah.
So you've got probably whatever your September show is, will probably be back in the States.
Yeah. Even because
It's October. It's lining up.
It's got to be October. And look, that's not. I think that's decent recovery time from my funds for Japan.
Look,
I'm
I hope so
100%
for your
going.
sake.
I'm 100% going.
Look,
I've had the conversation with the wife. She's cleared it. She's coming. It's fine.
from our standpoint, obviously going last year was great. We'll try and get Ted, Morgan. We're going to have a big crew of people. You'll try and get Josh, your brother, and our fans and stuff over there. I like
the fact that it's going to be a different time of year and it's not going to be 40 degrees.
Oh, for sure. That is huge.
Oh, my God.
Because I remember when we went to the press
It was just
conference.
so hot all the time.
The press conference the day before the PLE was just
sunburn
standing
on
in a
my head.
park, and it was 40
No
degrees. And me and Lockie, I left you guys. Yeah, like, you guys were in the crowd.
They went to find shade, like smart individuals.
And there wasn't a lot.
No, I had my hat backwards. I had a little snapback on, and I got a big patch of red sunburn on my forehead from it.
Yeah.
It looked atrocious.
If it is later in the year, it's like mid-20s. Beautiful weather.
Perfect weather.
Come out.
Celsius, not Fahrenheit.
Yeah, go to Rottnest Island, go see some quokkas, go spend some touristy things. And
you might. A lot of people ran into Bobby Lashley in the street as around the Perth CBD, around the shopping centres. Like, you never know who you're going to run into.
100%. And you've got it being a Raw, PLE, and a SmackDown, right? So that's the full 4 days, at least, right? Most of the week, 4 days. Assuming the shortest period for them to do it, they fly in on a Friday morning, do the shows, and then they fly out on a Tuesday morning. That's still an entire weekend of everyone around.
If they're going to do SmackDown on the Friday, they'll fly in at least the day before to try and get them like adjusted to the timing difference.
And they'll do media, and they'll do local appearances, and they'll do the Superstore and all that kind of stuff that AEW didn't do in terms of promoting the event. Because WWE last year, when they came out, nailed it. They had a massive store in the city that was there for like 4 or 5 days, and you had big, huge lines of people getting in, buying every T-shirt, every belt. There was wrestlers showing up. There was signings.
I got a belt.
You did get
a little mini replica. I was there. Elimination Chamber Perth belt.
All of that will be what they'll do, and they will make a ton of money. Perth will make a ton of money out of the tourism and stuff for it. And look,
Perth's a great destination too.
Suggestion from us for any Aussie fans that are listening that either didn't travel last year or didn't go to AEW in Brisbane because they're kind of hanging out for it to come to Sydney or Melbourne. Take the jump, take the risk.
You will not regret it. Look, it hurts your funds. We're not going to lie.
Yeah.
I feel like part of me is still kind of recovering from Perth 12 months on after all the other stuff that I booked in after that. But it was so worth it. The memories, the experience, meeting new people. Like, it's a great experience.
We've had a quick look at flights. It's about 600 return from Sydney to Brisbane. So it's
not too bad.
Horrible.
Not too bad.
You get hotels, depending how good you want to spend, 150, 200 a night. put it all together, you're spending about $2,000 for 4 or 5 days.
If you get an Airbnb and you have more people come along, less expensive.
Yeah, and then we can go to your Airbnb
math,
and we can
right?
have...
Is that what they call it?
That is girl math, yeah. It's also girl math that if you just pay for it now, right? Then when
Future
you go,
you has to deal with it.
future you gets a free holiday. I didn't even pay for this.
Yeah. What was that past Reece thinking? Oh, he likes wrestling.
What a
That's what he
genius.
was.
The last point to make, and if you watched our Elimination Chamber review show, you obviously would have seen that the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Hustle, Loyalty, Respect, John Cena, won the Chamber and is now going to WrestleMania as the main event. It is his retirement tour, and he is going to do all of his dates towards the end of the year. And if WWE is coming to Australia, which they are, John Cena is coming to Australia. This will be his last time. And if you're like us and you grew up watching Cena, whether you were part of the Let's Go Cena or
Cena sucks.
the Cena sucks chant,
Me.
you're going to want to see him.
Yeah.
And this is our chance. And so I feel like that alone
Is
half sells you Optus Stadium.
absolutely. Because I remember Super Showdown that happened.
Yeah.
Cena was there. And I was pumped because I got to boo John Cena live because I was still in that phase of like, John Cena, piss off.
Yeah. But now we're all like,
But now it's like,
please don't go.
he's going. He's going. I think it's kind of funny because it wasn't too long after that Super Showdown stuff that I started seeing him on Total Divas and Total Bellas.
Yeah.
That's where my respect for John Cena changed because I got to see how he functioned behind the scenes and who he was as a person. That's why I love that, like all those like backstage things and all those like reality spin-offs that they do. Kind of lets you connect with people that you generally don't like.
Perfect example of that for everybody at home. If you don't remember, a year or so ago, this guy did not give a shit about Cody Rhodes and his story. It's not the real story. It's Finn Balor's story. We sat down, we watched the Cody documentary, and what happened?
Oh, yeah.
Fully invested.
I got it. Finn Balor still has the better story to finish.
Look, I'm not discrediting Finn Balor's story, but maybe he can finish it against Seth Rollins in Bad Blood Down Under in October.
Bad Blood Down Under. That sounds so good.
It actually is kind of cool.
Slide in DMs. Just
Papa H, if you want.
WrestleMania tickets. Accommodation.
How about Bad Blood tickets? Let's make it easy for him. It's now local seats for us. You don't even have to pay flights and accommodation.
Yeah. Just
media passes all
media
weekend.
passes. Let's go. Let's do this.
If anyone knows the WWE
Media team
or their email address, put it in the
Maybe
comments.
talk to Karina. She might have a link or two.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a really great idea.
I reckon we do that.
Karina, I hope you watch this. I'm coming for you. Karina, I'm coming for you.
But yep. To summarise, TKO, big deal with Perth. They spent lots of money on it. They'll make lots of money out of it.
Absolutely.
We
be
assume the WWE pay-per-view and weekend will be sometime in October of 2025.
Early thoughts.
And if you are going to come to it, please let us know because we would love to catch up with our fans.
We've got better microphone situations this time, so I reckon we do like little like roaming interviews. Oh, what's your favourite match?
100%.
What are you keen for? Who are you keen to see? What have you been doing while you're here?
All about it. And look
for this bald face. Look for this face.
Based off what we did last year too, maybe we even organise like a meet and greet on a Sunday at a special brewery in Fremantle that we went to last time.
Oh, well, that's pretty good.
Right? Maybe we saw something
If you
out.
think that highly of us, come have a couple of beers with us. Come have some fun. Just talk wrestling with other wrestling fans.
Yeah,
That's all you got to worry about.
If you're keen, if you're thinking about it and you want some experienced people to give you some insider gossip that have
Pointers
done it
about
before,
Perth.
come jump in our Discord. We'll chuck the link down below. We'll have a chat and we can organise some stuff in there.
It's scrolling. It'll show up at some point. It's
At some point it will. But yeah, I'm super pumped. Like I said, I was planning a Vegas trip and stuff next year. This might take a dent into those funds, but
it's gonna be worth it, man.
John, look, you announced to me that there's a pay-per-view. I'm like, sweet.
Done.
You announced to me that there's now a SmackDown and a Raw as well. I'm like, whoa, now I'm really pumped. And then you finally will throw on the cherry on top, which I assume they're going to do.
They will.
Get John
They
Cena.
Will. They will.
Sign me up. I'm in.
That's all we need. That's all we need. It was like when they did Super Showdown. They announced it. What's the main event? Triple H versus Undertaker. Woo-hoo, take my money, buddy.
I'm there.
Don't give a shit what the rest of the match card is. That's what I want to see.
Yep.
Mr. Dan Danielson, thank you for coming here and having a chat with us. Coming here, it's his house, it's his garage. What am I talking about?
Madison Square Garage, mate.
Pool table of relevancy. Thank you for tuning in. We have been Down Under the Mat. We'll see you next time. Too sweet. Just boop. Little one.
Little
Boop.
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 Why am I still recording?
I don't know.
This is the worst
Have
ending
fun,
we've
Luke.
ever had.
Have fun, Luke.
Edit
Just
it.
leave this in.
No, yeah, don't edit it. Leave it in.
Leave it in.
Perth, WA.
Perth. Look for this fucking face.